Welcome everyone. Today's session is focused on one of the most underrated yet most scoring areas of NABARD Grade A, that is finance current affairs. Yes, you heard it correct. In 2024, many aspirants they were shocked to see how heavily the exam leaned towards the finance current affairs, and that is the reason I have come up with this particular video where I'll tell you exactly why finance is important for NABARD Grade A examination, how the questions are framed, and how you can prepare strategically for the finance section if you are going to write the NABARD Grade A examination 2025. So let's get started, guys. The first point from where I would start my discussion is NABARD Grade A 2024. As I said, many questions were asked from finance alone. Finance-based current affairs, they contributed approximately 40% of the objective questions in the general awareness section, and the finance section will act as a differentiator between the average and top scorer, keeping in mind the 2024 format. So finance, as per now, I would come up with the statement that finance is not optional. Rather, it is one of the central part to be covered if you're writing down the NABARD examination, because NABARD works with refinance, rural credit policy, financial inclusion, cooperative banks, RRBs, and everything is obviously connected to finance, and that is why the exam test whether the candidates can understand terms like credit flow, financial market, monetary policy, rural financial architecture, and whatnot. Now, if you are ignoring finance, then your ESI and ARD performance won't be enough to clear the cutoff, because the finance reference will be required while writing or while answering the ESI and sometimes the ARD questions as well. So remember that NABARD does not ask any finance related numericals. Instead, they just test whether you understand the major financial institutions or the regulatory ecosystem or the monetary trend as well as the financial inclusion framework. And all the questions which have been asked in the previous years, they are conceptual based, fact based, or they are related to the current affairs. That means you have to prepare in a mixed bag manner where you will be covering the important concepts, facts and the current affairs related to finance. अब यहाँ पर बोल देना बहुत आसान है कि जाओ फाइनेंस पढ़ लो, बट फाइनेंस का सिलेबस इज वेरी वास्ट. सो इन 2024 फाइनेंस पढ़कर कोई भी नहीं गया था for NABARD examination, and obviously it was a setback for the candidates. More than 60% of the ESI based questions, they also required the understanding of financial regulations as well as current financial changes, because the questions were appeared from DFIs, from FI reforms, from credit guarantee schemes, from RBI circulars and whatnot. तो मैं ये नहीं चाहता कि अगली बार या इस बार जब आप एग्जामिनेशन लिखें, if the same trend follows, then you face the same issues as it was faced by the candidates last year. So I have come up with this particular session where I'll tell you what type of questions were asked in the previous session, and अगर ऐसे ही question इस बार दोबारा आए, what should be your strategy to cover finance, or what should be your strategy to score maximum in finance by giving your minimum input. So let's get started without any further delay. So as we have discussed that many questions were asked, but to showcase you what type of questions were asked, I have exact memory based questions. There was a question on net asset value. I hope we all know that if you are investing in mutual funds or if you have gone through with mutual funds, then you know what is net asset value. So there was a question on net asset value. Second question was related to a scheme, that is Saral Suraksha Bima Yojana, which is launched by IRDA. तो अभी तक एक क्वेश्चन कैपिटल मार्केट से था और दूसरा क्वेश्चन फाइनेंस सेक्टर रिलेटेड स्कीम से था. मूविंग ऑन टू द थर्ड क्वेश्चन इज सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ डिपॉजिट, अगेन फ्रॉम द फाइनेंशियल मार्केट. Moving on to the next question is related to Reserve Bank of India. लेकिन Reserve Bank of India का भी जो I would say the initiative है or the circular है or the update है, that is related to voluntary retention route. I hope we all know that voluntary retention route is the route through which foreign investors, they invest with a minimum lock-in period. I hope you remember that. Moving on to the next point, which one of the following is not an intermediary under the national pension scheme? Then again, there is a question from a scheme which is related to the financial sector. अगला पॉइंट है which of the following beta versions of rolling settlement cycle system in the capital market was introduced in March 2024? As the name suggests, again a question was from the financial market. One more question again from SEBI, that is SEBI, what is the minimum amount that can be accepted as investment sorry, from the investor, from an investor under the alternative investment fund? So there was a question again with respect to capital market or financial market. In July 2024, Government of India collected GST of value 1.82 lakh crore rupees, marking year-on-year increase by how much percent in comparison to the previous year? Next question was a core question related to central KYC record registry, which is a centralized repository of KYC records. The question is when it started its functioning. The next question was which of the following from the ISO family is related to risk management framework? So in case of risk management framework, ISO family of standards is related, that is 31000. 9000 is quality management, 14000 is environmental management, 22000 is food safety management, and 27000 is information security management. And if you talk about 31000, so it is related to risk management. Last but not the least is what is the minimum net owned fund required for consideration to grant a license for a single branch full-fledged money changer? So what is the minimum requirement? That was the last question. So out of 20 general awareness questions, you can see 8 to 9 questions were asked from finance alone. अब यहाँ से हमें क्या सीखने को मिलता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर हम देखें कि इससे हमें क्या सीखने को मिल रहा है, what is the I would say the takeaway for us from the current 2024 NABARD Grade A examination, then I would say as per the NABARD Grade A examination, you must understand what all things are important. If I come up with this discussion, then I would say first part, सबसे पहली चीज जो majority questions पूछे गए हैं, they have been asked from financial market, as you have seen. So financial market is a very important concept or a very important segment with respect to NABARD as per 2024. Second, we have seen the questions related to RBI as well as SEBI initiatives, or I can say SEBI circulars. Then the third area from where the questions were asked is the schemes which are related to the financial segment. अब पॉइंट ये है कि सर इन सबको भी जितना आपने लिख दिया, इन सबको भी पढ़ना बहुत टफ है. अब इसको कैसे मैनेज करें? Then I would come up in this manner that sir financial market में you have to cover all those areas. You have to cover all those areas which are somehow related to rural and agriculture development. अब ये कैसे होगा? अब ये कैसे होगा कि एग्रीकल्चर और रूरल डेवलपमेंट इज रिलेटेड टू फाइनेंशियल मार्केट? अगर मैं सिंपल सी बात करूं, म्यूचुअल फंड्स, इट वाज इन न्यूज दैट इट शुड बी प्रमोटेड not only the urban areas but the rural public should also be aware of mutual funds and they should invest in the mutual fund. तो वही नाबार्ड ने म्यूचुअल फंड पे क्वेश्चन बना दिया. उसके साथ साथ ऑल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड, वो भी कहीं ना कहीं डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली रिलेटेड है बाय इन टर्म्स ऑफ रूरल इन्वेस्टमेंट. तो वहां पे ऑल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड से भी एक क्वेश्चन बनाया गया. सो व्हेनेवर यू आर रीडिंग एनी टॉपिक विद रिस्पेक्ट टू फाइनेंशियल मार्केट, यू मस्ट थिंक ट्वाइस दैट द टॉपिक व्हिच आई एम कवरिंग from the financial market, is it having any reference to the agriculture and rural development? If yes, then that is really very important, and especially those topics which are in news, Similarly, SEBI as well as RBI circulars which are directly indirectly impacting the agriculture and rural development, those circulars are important. Not all the circulars, because it's impossible to cover all the circulars, but those circulars which are directly indirectly promoting, helping or contributing to the agriculture and rural development is important. Lastly, in case of schemes, again those schemes which are somehow directly indirectly related to agriculture and rural development, or it is related to general social issues, that is really very important with respect to schemes as well as with respect to the initiatives which have been taken by RBI or the circulars which have been taken by RBI and SEBI. तो इसके हिसाब से अगर हम बात करें नाबार्ड 2025 में what we can expect, See, last year, the questions which we have got from financial market or from RBI or SEBI circular, it is very clear that NABARD is framing the questions from the current affairs itself, but directly or indirectly impacting the agriculture or rural sector of the economy. Now, similarly, in 2024-25, the area which is very important, which is in news and which has a great importance that it will be asked for sure in the examination is digital payment framework updates, especially related to rural areas. So you have to cover the digital payment updates related to rural areas. लिख कर ले लो, यहाँ से एक दो questions for sure आपको देखने को मिलेंगे. Similarly, SEBI regulations, RBI, FinTech and NBFC guidelines, they are important because these days RBI and government is trying its level best to promote NBFCs and the other financial institutes which should promote the development of rural areas as well as overcome the social issues which are prevailing in the economy. Next part, which is very important, which is very much in news these days, that is climate finance development. Climate finance, not only development, climate risk calculations are also gaining much importance. And अगर हम बात करें NABARD की, एग्रीकल्चर की, climate risk सबसे ज़्यादा prevail करता है in case you are a borrower and you are borrowing for cultivation purpose and the lender बैंक को जरूर ये देखना चाहिए कि अगर आज वो आपको लोन दे रहा है for cultivation purpose, what is the risk of climate or how climate is going to impact your repayment, which will result in credit risks for the bank. So that is important. And lastly, you have to discuss or you have to cover the topics which are agri fintech related topic because their importance is increasing. और 2024-25 में इन एरियाज में सबसे ज्यादा जंप आई है. कीपिंग इन माइंड ARD सेक्शन, कीपिंग इन माइंड योर NABARD एग्जामिनेशन. तो अगर आप सिर्फ ये एरियाज विच आई हैव मार्क्ड फॉर यू, if you are covering these areas before you go for the examination, और अगर इस बार भी examiner is coming up with the same thought that examiner will be asking you 8 to 9 questions out of 20 from finance current affairs, then trust me guys, 5 questions I can expect, or I am expecting that out of 8 or 9 questions, if asked, 5 questions will be directly from the topics which have been mentioned on the screen itself. So 4 pillars बने यहाँ पर NABARD प्रिपरेशन के लिए. जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया, एक तो फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया, फाइनेंशियल मार्केट इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया, रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क्स RBI, SEBI, IRDI इंपॉर्टेंट हो गए, एंड बैंकिंग एज वेल एज रूरल क्रेडिट स्ट्रक्चर इंपॉर्टेंट है. अब जो लोग प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं फॉर RBI एज वेल एज NABARD साइमल्टेनियसली, फॉर देम इट्स वेरी इजी बिकॉज दे ऑल हैव कवर्ड द स्टैटिक, दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्चुअल एज वेल एज द करंट अफेयर पार्ट ऑफ दीज एरियाज. बट the one who is only preparing for NABARD, for that candidate it is impossible to cover all these topics in much detail the way I have presented. As I said, these are the 4 pillars. तो उसमें 2 options है. पहला option है कि sir you should go with these 5 areas from the currents and aspect. You should come up with, or you should cover these 5 areas keeping in mind the current aspects which can be asked in the examination. और इसके अलावा अगर मैं थोड़ा और स्पेसिफिक चला जाऊं, इफ यू हैव टू शॉर्टलिस्ट द कंटेंट व्हिच इज अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट, देन रिमेंबर न्यू स्कीम्स विद नंबर्स इज इंपॉर्टेंट. RBI, SEBI, Ministry of Finance circulars are important which are related to agriculture, rural development plus social issues. Lastly, agriculture finance linkages are important. If it is any agri fintech, if it is any agriculture credit scheme or anything like that, they all are important. So if you are either targeting your current affairs in this manner or you're targeting the other way around, the 5 topics which I have given you, whatever suits you well, you can target your preparation in such a manner because ये 5 areas से या फिर इन 3 areas से examiner question बनाएगा for the upcoming examination. And if you have covered it beforehand, then you won't be feeling the same shock or the same issues which were witnessed by the candidates last year. So remember this point very clearly guys. Finance is where serious aspirants, they outperform the competition. If you want to outperform the competition, you must complete these finance related current affairs before you sit for NABARD Grade A Phase 1 examination. It will not only help you in phase 1. It will also help you in phase 2 while writing ESI based descriptive answers, ARD based descriptive answers. Your finance learnings, understandings, as well as the data which you remember for finance will help you to write a good and a beautiful question. So that will be all from my side. If you have any doubt regarding finance, current affairs and its linkage with NABARD grade A examination, do write down in the comment section below and I will be taking up all your doubts in the comments itself. Thank you so much for joining. Do join the Telegram channel for more updates. Good luck. God bless you all.